is Human.
Welcome to the My Name is Human Earth2.io podcast, brought to you by the Kraken. My name is Human Hazy.
My name is Human Kangi.
And my name is Human Snoke.
Are you just starting out on Earth 2? Looking for a fun community to join? Like being a pirate? Then look no further than the Kraken, the premier home for all things fun on Earth2.io.
The Kraken prides itself on being a diverse and focused guild that focuses on business, entertainment, and working together in a collaborative investment in the future of the Kraken community.
They are a close-knit group of friends, and the tavern is always full of rum and lighthearted banter. Decisions are made old-school pirate style. Everyone has a say, and if you don't like it, you can walk the plank.
Oh, dang. The Kraken is not aiming to be the largest guild on Earth 2. They want to balance success and investment with having a good time. Join the Kraken today at e2kraken.com or on Discord at discord.gg/e2kraken.
Yarr!
All right. Thank you, Kraken, for being our first paid sponsor. We do appreciate it. Make sure you check out their website and Discord, and we'll put those in the show notes. So today's episode is going to be a very much needed one, I think. Something that there's been brief how-tos and what to do's, but not really anything that's in depth. And I think this is going to be something that people can use for years to come, and that's why we wanted to do it. So basically, we're going to be doing the ultimate guide to getting started on Earth2.io. And so before you ever sign up, I don't want you to create an account. I don't want you to put any money in. There's things you have to do first. The first thing you need to do is go to the Earth2.io page and pull up their ideology page.
Right. And the ideology page, I think, is, a great introduction for people that we sometimes see folks pop into the Discord general chat and ask, like, what is this? Just a very broad question. And the ideology page is the best place to get started, to get at least a very high level understanding of what sort of the mission statement is and the vision for Earth2.io, which is really, supposed to be a comprehensive metaverse.
Right. So kind of give us a few bullet points from that ideology, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me get this guy pulled up here. It's so easy to just load quickly. So I'm just going to read directly. And this is the mission statement. Our future is virtual. The information age is accelerating technology at an unprecedented speed as we see more and more science fiction realized. Already today, many of us live half online, and with every passing year, the fantastic sci-fi metaverses of Ready Player One and Snow Crash seem less far-fetched. So just in the first paragraph, you already get,
the VR aspect, yeah.
Exactly, and you get a very, specific reference point for folks that are familiar with Ready Player One, either the book or the film. Should I keep rolling through this? You think this,
No, we don't need to read we don't need to read the whole thing. I just think it's important to note that they do have a plan in their mind. And so reading that and understanding what Earth2 is going to be is important. Okay, right. So if you scroll down a little bit further on the ideology page, it shows phases. So there's 3 phases. Okay, so the first one is when you can claim land. And that's the phase that we're currently in right now. It's buying tiles, selling tiles. And that's what we've been doing for about 6 months now. You can claim, you can buy, you can trade, you can bid, and you can argue over how much your property's worth.
Really the best pastime that we currently have is to argue with one another. And yeah, I think that recaps our current verbs. So we've got the claiming of land, but we've also got, coming up around the corner, we've got resources, which are supposed to be, and it's still written on the ideology page as first half of 2021. So Snoke, can you tell us a little bit about, what the what phase 2 is supposed to hold and what we have to look forward to?
Yeah, definitely. So, on the website, it says resources will be released in the first half of 2021. It will involve the ability for virtual land to begin generating different type of resources. And if you remember, there's been a leak on the Earth2 staging site that shows some resources, and there could potentially be more. However,
right, so there's like
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say there's things like gold, oil, water, wood, limestone, just things that you're going to be able to do. And we talked about this in the past, but it's basically like probably the beginning of the tech tree, the things you're going to need as a foundation.
Exactly, and these resources will be tradable between users for other resources or for credits. In the future, the resources requiring resources to build or for other purposes will need to generate or gather resources or buy them with credits from users who have stock of resources.
Right, and so the thing we're talking about here is your tiles, and we don't know exactly how this is going to work yet, so we'll probably update this video in a year once we know more.
Once we speculate.
But for now, we're speculating that you're going to either have to use Essence or something to mine the resources off of your property. To me, and this is something we talked about before, the most interesting part of this is being able to trade these resources with other players. This is where you're going to be able to generate some passive income.
Right, and it's also, I think, where a lot of the community aspects, which we're going to, get into a lot more later on, where some of those community aspects will really come into play, because depending on how far that tech tree is built out and how many resources we have, collaboration and having good trading partners, could be essential to developing some of your properties down the road.
So when phase 2, we don't know, but it should be soon, hopefully. After that, it's phase 3, and I think that's probably a ways down the way. I don't see that happening for a minimum 2 years, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's 3, 4, or 5 years. But what phase 3 is, if you watch the terrain video, and we'll link that in the show notes as well, it's showing the terrain, and it's an amazing real-time rendering of the terrain. The whole world being able to be rendered on your computer. And so users will be given access to their terrain, and they don't have much more info than that right now, but we have seen sneak peeks of it. We've seen buildings, we've seen vehicles. So we do know some things that are going to be in the game. We just don't know everything yet.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know that we'll have links to some videos that we'll get into later, but yeah, super helpful to get at least some sort of idea of what you might be able to do with your land a little bit down the road.
I don't know about you guys, but I know when I saw that terrain video, I was ecstatic to see what the future possibility is, though.
Oh, that was the thing that made me put money into Earth2. I watched that and I'm like, okay, this is the real deal.
Exactly.
So definitely make sure you check out the terrain video, and we will definitely link them. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So the last thing that I want you to look at before you even think about creating an account is the FAQ. And that's so basically it shows you a couple of things on the FAQ. It has a bunch of different frequently asked questions. Some of them haven't been updated in a while, and they do need updating, but most of them provide good, useful information. And we're not going to go over them all, but we will. You can find the link if you just go to the main page, not logged in, and just click on FAQ. And also, another important thing there is where you can create a support ticket. And this is important if you're having a problem with the site. And I know, Kangi, you've had to submit a support ticket before.
I have. And it's interesting because I actually submitted a help ticket back in December via email with an early issue I had with some land purchase. And then I submitted one much more recently with a question regarding actually a withdrawal that I was confused about its status. And it actually, I mean, I can say this, it works a lot better and more quickly than it did back in December. Still some turnaround time for sure. But the help tickets are especially helpful because they give us some sort of confirmation as users, like kind of where it's at in the process, or the fact that they have it tracked. Because admittedly, early on, it was a bit of a black hole after you sent an email out there. So
yeah, and it's a much more effective means of getting your problem resolved than going to Discord and complaining about it.
Yeah,
that is very true.
Which is what many people will do when they have something. Oh, I don't have my money, or my account's frozen, or my bank's not working, and they'll go to Discord thinking that a volunteer moderator will be able to solve their problem for them, and that's not the case. Go to the professionals. Go to the support page.
You know,
right.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Snow. Oh, I was just going to say that the moderators also just don't have that same sort of access to your account info. So
Right.
going directly through the help desk ticket system is definitely your best, support ticket system is your best bet.
Exactly, and the time frame is getting shorter on when it is. For example, when they released the credit card withdrawals, I did a credit card withdrawal, and I actually got 2 withdrawals to my bank account. So instead of going on Discord and saying, "Hey, I got 2 withdrawals," I actually went and provided a support ticket, and they were able to clear it up and withdraw the money back. But again, go through the support ticket, not through Discord.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
So the other.
Go ahead. No, that's okay. I was just going to say, you were one of the people that got the double withdrawal. I was wondering.
Yeah. I wonder how many people actually tried to run away with it and said, "Joke's on you, Earth2."
You know, the funny thing is, I remember there's been people back when they were doing PayPal, when they would just debit the account on their E2 account, like negative however much they put in from PayPal. They actually just took it from my bank account. Like, they didn't give me any notification, which I had it in there. I wasn't going to spend it because that wasn't my money. But they just took it out, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" You know, I was able to take care of. So I think that's awesome that they're able to do that.
Right. Yeah, things are
So
improving on that front.
the other thing on this introduction page is it tells you how to buy land. We're not going to go into that right now because we're going to have a whole section on how to buy land, much more involved than what they ever show on the website.
Right.
So things they don't show you on the website: marketplace value versus new land value. Explain what that is, Kangi.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I like to emphasize for new users because I myself have made this mistake before. But basically, on the website, and when we pull up a property, we can actually kind of show where this is. But it'll show the new tile value, which is what land would cost if it were bought today at what the current land prices are. But then there's also marketplace value, which is actually a reflection of recent sales that have taken place within that nation. Which means that in some cases, if there was, say, a particularly large sale, sometimes the marketplace value of properties within that nation will be temporarily buoyed up. So, for example, in France, if the Eiffel Tower were to sell for 50 grand, everybody that owns French tiles would see their marketplace value skyrocket. But realistically, that's not reflective of what you could get.
Right, and how many times have you logged onto your site and seen, dang, my account's worth 100 grand?
Right.
But it's not really, because what it basically is, it's a pump because someone paid an exorbitant amount for some tiles in that country, and it will come back down as soon as someone buys another property in that country. So don't think you can mark up your property to that value. It's not going to sell for that value. Don't think you can cash out for that value. You can't. So just understand that concept. It's an important concept. And it's people will come into the chat all the time. Wow, my tiles are worth $100 a tile. No, they're not.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that early on, I think it can take time to understand those two differences in pricing. And I don't feel like that's well explained. And I personally have some very stupid class 3 grease tiles that I was looking at the wrong price and thought I was getting a much better discount than I was. So, that's on me. It wasn't a huge loss, but something to be aware of before you make your first purchases for sure.
So have you watched the official Earth2 YouTube, Snoke?
I have, yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and why you would recommend watching it if you were someone new to the game.
Well, it kind of goes into detail a little bit of what their vision is, just a little bit. So I would still recommend watching it as well. And then also, on their YouTube channel, they have the terrain systems as well to keep going on that, based on what the future can hold from Earth2. So I definitely recommend people watch it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that.
The important thing is to.
Oh, it's all you.
I was going to say the important thing is to watch Wolfgang and Nathaniel talk, and to see their vision for the game, and they talk a lot about the kind of things they want to put in the game, and that gives you a lot of insight into what's coming in the future, what's coming in phase 2, what's coming in phase 3. So watching those dev streams, I think, is important before you make a investment, so to speak.
And if you don't know, Wolfgang and Nathaniel are both amazing game designers, and they have created a bunch of games prior to Earth 2. So, as he said, listen to them talk is a great way of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, I was getting distracted there because I was positive my dog was going to slam into my green screen. So I apologize for my eyes darting around there. But it's definitely, I think when you watch that developer stream and you watch it in conjunction with the actual, trailers for the terrain, gives a good idea, I think, of sort of what we might be able to see in the most fully realized vision. So definitely check those out in the show notes afterwards. But we do have some other, we have some other resources on YouTube that go beyond just what Earth2.io themselves have provided, right? And we've actually had some of these folks on the show. So, Hazy, I'll kick it over to you. What are some of your favorite additional YouTube resources, once you get beyond those sort of initial couple videos that Earth2.io has?
I mean, we're obviously biased since we had these people on the show, but there's a reason we've had them on the show. It's because they know what they're talking about. They do it in an intelligent manner. And so we're always going to recommend Earth2 Meta, Earth2 Odyssey, Bold Combo. And I mean, these are players in the game. Look at what Odyssey just did. He just spent $50,000 on tiles. I mean, not only is he a YouTube creator, but he's an investor in the game and he believes in the game. He's created a site that's going to work on businesses. Meta has gone from 600 subscribers to 2,500 subscribers in literally 2 months. People love his content. And Bold Combo's weekly update gives you a great update on what's happened in the last week. So those are the three go-to guys. There's a lot more out there, but those are the three for me that are go-tos. And we'll link their shows in the show notes as well.
Yeah. And then, one show that I really like that, provides some, it's not necessarily YouTube, but another person that we've had on the show recently, we had Nameless from Guidebook Gaming. And if you go over there, they've got a daily stream. They've got a daily giveaway. So that's a fantastic, daily. Free giveaway. Or did you say 3?
3 giveaways daily. Yep.
So I'm sorry. Tell Nameless, tell Tech Ops, I'm sorry for selling them short there. But absolutely a great resource to go to get sort of a daily fix, and absolutely, kind of plug into what the community's, doing on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and that's definitely a community-centric show.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of interaction there. And then, you can also always, of course, listen to our own archives, right? And those are on YouTube. We're on every single podcast platform. And one episode that I always recommend, especially for folks that are wondering, why should I be excited about virtual real estate? I recommend the interview that we were able to do with Jawad Khan with Republic Real Estate.
Yeah.
Somebody that's, similar to our Guidebook Gaming folks and those other YouTube channels, our other content creators that are heavily invested in Earth2. Jawad Khan and Republic Real Estate are heavily invested in the virtual real estate space. So great person to listen to if you want to get excited and understand why you should be investing in this potentially.
Yep,
that was such a great podcast to listen to. That was before my time on the show, but man, when I was listening to that, I was so excited. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, and we got that feedback from a lot of people saying that it just got them excited about the future of Earth2. And hopefully, I don't know what happened, but hopefully they were able to get in touch and are working on investing in Earth2 because I know they want to. So hopefully they were able to work that out.
Exactly.
All right, so we got this basic stuff out of the way. We haven't even logged into the site yet, but we've done our research. We've done our due diligence. We're ready to create an account. All right, so we're going to go to the account creation screen. It's fairly basic account creation process. Enter your email address, enter a password, create your account.
Right, yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, yeah, not a whole lot of complexities at this. Sorry about that. I muted myself because, again, I was worried the dogs were going to go ballistic. But and Snoke, I know I can't necessarily see your screen. Were you able to pull up that account creation screen for folks to see?
Yes, and I went ahead and I switched back and I logged in as well.
Oh, fantastic!
I
All right,
jumped the gun.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So since I was waiting for the dog to bark at the delivery man, I can now talk about settings page, which this is where you have a ton of content to discuss. So, I'll just jump into, at least the first one, username, right? And actually, this one's interesting because we've kind of got some recent developments on this front, don't we, Hazy?
Yeah, so now it's kind of it's going to be a unique username. If someone already has it, you're going to get a bunch of numbers appended to it. So choose your username carefully because you might not be able to get a unique one. So for example, I recently changed mine to my name is human podcast because I didn't want someone snagging it. So I gave up the win phase 2 just because I didn't want some jerk going in there. Oh, I'm gonna grab this since they have win phase 2 on there. So I sacrificed the movement a little bit because I didn't want to lose the name. But if someone would have already done it, it would have said, my name is human podcast 63449. I didn't want that username. So just know when you're creating your username that it is unique. And if there's numbers at it, it means someone else already has it. Okay, so the other thing you can do, your profile image, and you can also create a flag. So you can have 2 separate images, really. You can have your profile image, which is whatever you want it to be. It defaults to the first 2 letters of your email name. So if you're, for example, the account that Snoke's using right now, it'll say IA as the image for I am human. So that's what it's going to default to until you update the image.
Right. And one thing that's a little bit of fun is I know that you can, if it's small enough, you can actually get, a GIF image to work. So just be aware of that if you've got something in mind. But, I think the biggest thing that folks are maybe wondering about on this page is probably the settings page, right? Oh my God, settings page, the ability to deposit money. I was reading something while I was trying to speak. But
deposit and then take out money. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get to the, depositing stage first, right? So, right now you can actually potentially, I want to emphasize this before you add money, be aware that potentially withdrawing the money can take quite a bit longer than depositing it. And we do want to emphasize only deposit what you can afford to lose. Definitely do not invest more money than you could, afford to go without, any time in the near future.
Because right now this is a highly speculative, high risk opportunity. Is there a massive potential? Sure. But it's also, there is a potential for it to go to absolutely zero. So only put in what you can afford to lose.
Right. So now that we've emphasized that, you do have, that ability to add money via credit card. You can do it if you're on your phone or on a Apple device. You can actually add funds via Apple Pay. And I'm trying to remember if there's an additional one that I'm forgetting right now.
I think you can do a direct bank transfer.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
And then as far as withdrawal options are concerned, recently, and it's still in a quote unquote trial period, but they did launch the ability to withdraw funds via debit or credit card. So you can submit that withdrawal request through the settings page.
And on that note, real quick, so on the screen I highlighted, you will need to enable 2-factor authentication on your Earth2 account before requesting to withdraw funds to a credit card.
Can you explain what 2-factor authentication is, Snoke?
Yeah, definitely. So it's basically you would have to go into your settings and down through here.
Don't enable it.
Yeah. So right, if right here, there's manage 2FA, which is 2-factor authentication. You would click on that, and then you would add an account. Most people will use like Google Authenticator, or there are many different other authenticator apps. But it's just a second way of authenticating that it's you when logging in, and it will provide you with a code that you have to type in. A lot of banks and a lot of anything with money usually has a second authentication process already. So this is Earth2's way of authenticating. And it's fast and easy to set up. And like I said, when you log in, all you do is look at your phone, go to Google Authenticator, type in the 6-digit code, and that's it.
Yeah, I just showed it, and my number changed, so don't think you can hack into my account.
Right? Yeah, I think it only has like a 30-second timer on it, so it changed again. And if you didn't type it in that 30 seconds, you have to type in the new number that comes in.
All right, so an additional option besides the debit credit card, that was very good that you brought the 2FA up. Thank you for that. You can do direct a withdrawal straight to your bank. It does exist. That was the process in place before. It's painfully slow because they have to manually verify everything, and they check your transactions pretty closely. Not the recommended method, but if you don't have a credit card, that's the method you're going to have to use. There are more options coming from what we've heard from Shane. So hopefully when those get rolled out, like I know, for example, there's going to be an Earth2 debit card or Earth2 credit card that we'll be able to use. So that might be one of the options we'll be able to use. But for now, you have credit card, debit card, and withdrawal straight to bank.
And the credit or debit card has to accept USD. So if you're out of the country and your bank doesn't accept USD, you have to have something that accepts USD.
Right, and something a lot of people have been using is Revolut.
Yep.
Right. That's been one of the multinational sort of options. And I will just say in general that some folks have had harder times with certain banks than others, even if their bank accepts USD. So I've been fortunate. My withdrawals have gone through just fine, but it's definitely a process that's still being improved right now. But I think that's enough on that part. Another couple of options that you'll see in the settings page, and we'll kind of cover all three of these back to back. We've got these, the map changing options, the email changing options, and the bid setting options. And so first we'll talk about the map, and you can basically, this is your default setting for when you're looking at land tiles to purchase. And you can either choose to have a satellite image as your default setting, or you can have a map view, which is sort of your conventional here's where the water exists, here's where water meets dirt.
So here's the one thing I would say on that view is I prefer satellite view just because it shows you kind of the real life view. But before you buy anything around water that's like an island or something, make sure you look at map view because they can differentiate. And from what I've heard, the map view is the representative view of where you can actually, whether it's land or water. So if you see something that looks like an island on satellite view and you click on map view and it only shows water, then it's probably water. So just be aware of that.
Right. And one benefit to map view also is if you're buying something that is on the borderline between two nations, it does show you the actual true border between those nations. So not that that's a common thing that you'll be navigating, but it is a little bit of a perk. Yeah. And it can also tell you if you're wondering if you're actually looking at the landmark you're looking at, depending on what it is.
The map view will give you like the actual descriptions, the street names, things like that you might not necessarily see on the satellite. So I toggle a lot between the two.
You can toggle on the on the grid when you actually start buying land as well.
Right, and we'll talk about. There's a few more options when you get to buying land. Probably doesn't really apply to buying land, but so I'll just add those here. You can do 3D view, which I don't ever use just because it's kind of cool, but it doesn't really apply to when you're buying land. The only thing it does is let you have a different view of the thing. And then there's the heat map, which hasn't been updating recently, but what the heat map does, it shows you from a distance where populaces have been buying land. So if no one's bought land in an area, it'll be dark. If a bunch of people have bought land, it'll glow like a city at night. So that's kind of useful to see where people are congregating at. And that's important when you get to buying land. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
Right. And the other couple settings, I don't know that we have to spend too much time on these, but the email setting is just to basically have email notifications when there's, a bid made on your property or when you sell a property. And then the bid settings are actually it's actually a threshold of 30% from what you had purchased the land at, as far as the minimum bid that you'll even allow somebody to make on your property. So Hazy, what's a reason that somebody would want to enable, allowing somebody to bid a very low amount on their property?
Well, generally I wouldn't allow it, but I think in instances when you're trying to transfer properties with a friend and you want to do so cheaply, you can bid 1 cent on their property, they bid 1 cent on yours, and you transfer the property. A giveaway from a YouTube or Guidebook Gaming. Someone wins a tile parcel. they don't have to pay full price. They can just bid 1 cent. So you have to set that setting off so they can put that 1 cent bid in.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would say that for most people, this is just my opinion, but for most folks, you want to have that option disabled. That would just be my recommendation, so that you don't get a bunch of junk bids from people that are trying to scam you out of your land, for lack of a better term.
So Snoke, what flag represents your tiles?
So, you know what's funny? When I first started, the longest time, I had Zimbabwe. And the only reason why I had Zimbabwe was because it was at the very bottom of the list, and I didn't want to have to scroll and try to find, like, United States or, something like that. I did end up switching it to United States, so that's what I have right now. But cool thing is, you can choose any flag you want.
Yeah, and so tell us what choosing that flag does.
So if you choose any of these flags, like for example, we'll go ahead and choose, we'll do Malta. So having that set as your flag, when you actually go and you have properties, if you look at the land, you'll see your flag over each tile that you own.
Can you go to the one parcel that they have and show the flag, how it shows up?
Definitely. So I'm going to my profile. And this is a piece of land that we own.
And while he's doing that, I'll say the other thing that the flag will do, it puts you on the leaderboard for that country. So, for example, I am the king of Armenia.
Yes.
I mean, I would be top. I would be top pretty much at any country because I'm in the top 35 of the whole game. But I built the Wild West, and we'll talk about the Wild West a little later, in Armenia, so I just naturally selected the Armenia flag. So selecting that flag, that's the leaderboard you will appear on.
And exactly. As you can see right here, this is actually the 6 tiles that I own that is in the...
18
Island?
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't necessarily even have to choose a flag either. You can, leave it open. We actually have some of the top players on the leaderboards right now that are international players. So if you ever see,
it's red when it does that, right?
Right, yes, it's like red, and then it's green when selected. Yep. So if you see that on a map, and you're like, "What is this? This is a bit odd. I don't see a flag here." That's probably the reason. And one other. And this you'll see less commonly, but there are some flags that are, usually they're for very small nations, but they're kind of glitched out. So like Cocos Keeling Island.
Oh, so annoying.
Very frustrating. Hopefully
you see this beautiful parcel that's wide open. I'm gonna buy it.
I've done that multiple times.
So you'll know that in most cases, you should really be able to easily see what you're attempting to buy on the map, but those are just a couple of, odd examples where somebody's flags might not be, super readily apparent to you.
Right. So the last part on the settings page that I wanted to talk about is a way to make a little money for buying new tiles, and that's the referral code. So we don't use our referral code a lot here on the My Name is Human Pod, but we will put it in the show notes this time. Anything we get in that is going to be given back to the community and then some. So just remember that. But basically, when you bought, so for example, I bought a bunch of new tiles today, and I went ahead and used with my account, and I used the new My Name is Human podcast account that we created for the referral code only, and I used that referral code. And I spent like $400 on new tiles. So that account was credited with like $20. And you also get $20 back. So it discounts your land purchases. So if you're buying new tiles, you're stupid not to use a referral code. And that's just, I mean, you're losing basically 5% if you don't use one. So you find a buddy.
Exactly.
Find a YouTube creator that you like. Find someone that you want to just help out. And say, hey, I'll use your referral code if you use mine, and you just kind of swap. I know Kangi does it with his brother.
Exactly. And one thing that Hazy already mentioned that I want to reemphasize is this is only for new tiles purchased that had not been previously owned. So if you're buying something on the marketplace, which we're about to jump into, you won't get that referral code bonus. So that is one thing that you'll want to remember. But now that we've set the stage, so what do we buy?
Let's buy some land.
Yeah,
let's buy some land. That's the fun part.
Right?
Yeah, all right. So
This is what we have to do in phase 1. This is where the joy is.
When I first joined, I bought new land because I didn't know any better.
And we could test that on here.
I went around and said, okay, don't be buying new land with my top. That's a waste of money. But you can show them how you can do it, Snook. So basically, you see an area you want to buy, you highlight the area with your mouse, then you scroll down and I think you hit details, and then you enter there'll be a referral code option, and then you click buy now. You click buy. I don't remember the exact.
Well, you can either language. I think pay with account balance, or you can pay directly with with one of the deposit methods if you want to.
So right here it shows buy now, and there's 4 tiles. It says the buy now price is $2.07, and it already says that the market value is $3.92. So again, that's kind of where we talked about earlier, where you want to learn about the tile price in the marketplace.
The actual value is $2.07, but because someone made a higher purchase, it looks like it's more, but you're not getting a bargain. You're paying $2.07 for $2.07 worth of tiles.
Exactly. And then after you click on that, you always want to make sure you add a referral code. Just grab someone, like he said, a buddy of yours, or go to a YouTube creator, get one. You apply that in there, and then you hit apply, and then you can either click on pay with account balance or pay with credit card.
Right. And so the thing about new tiles, and this is because people have been here a while, there isn't any class 1 except in Nauru. And the reason Nauru still exists is because it is at a bug price. It's over $2 a tile for new tiles. So no one buys it. So there's still class 1 available. So new tiles are more expensive than the marketplace. But the good thing is you get the choice of tiles, and you get to create your plot size, your plot shape. So instead of 4 tiles over here and 3 tiles over here, you can do 4x4, 16 tiles. And a nice square. And that's important for resellability. People look at that. I know Kangi and I both look at that. We look at the size of the plot because it's a lot easier to sell a plot that has a uniform shape than something that's thrown all over the place.
Right. And another benefit, I mean, you mentioned, you get to choose the size and the shape of it, but you also, obviously, if you're buying brand new tiles, you have a lot of flexibility in where they're going to be as well. So, if you find out that there's a new MegaCity being developed, or there's some, country that's being bought as some sort of larger trend, obviously you're not beholden to whatever random plots are on the marketplace if you just go out and buy fresh tiles. But what are some of the benefits to going to the marketplace instead?
So when you use the marketplace, Snow, tell us what you do. How do you use it most effectively?
So I'm a marketplace hunter, and I always try to find the best deals. And as you can see, when you first go to the marketplace, there's a few different filters on here. You first kind of want to pick what country you want to go to. So let's say I want to go to Chile. I'll click on Chile, and you can see all the different properties that are for sale here. Now I always try to.
How does it display the properties for sale?
So for the properties for sale, you are able to name the different properties, and as you can see, this name says Class 2 Club de Golf Cheap. So they can name it as whatever you want. And it also shows a new land value. So this is how much it would be if I went there and purchased tiles there. And this is how much they're actually selling this property for. And it does break it down to 67 cents a tile. So it is cheaper than buying new land. And it even says this is a 71.89% difference.
Right. So what thing I wanted to emphasize there is that it's showing the discount value.
Yep.
So the thing percent versus new land value there on the right hand side is how much it is discounted from the value. So, for example, if we're looking at this Chile one, the top one is new land value is $14.23, but they're selling it for $4. So your discount is 71.89%. That's a pretty good bargain.
Yep.
And so that's when you sort by tile value low, which is the default setting. You can also do highest net worth, which shows the most expensive properties, most tiles, which show the biggest properties, and property value low, which shows the cheapest properties. But tile value low is the default. It's the one I recommend using as well. What do you do, Kingy?
Yeah, I mean, I also use that. That's my default, is to just stick with the tile value low. I mean, it's generally speaking the easiest way to find the best deals. Now, definitely, you run into some issues. You run into some issues with, certain crappier sort of plots will sort of end up sticking at the top of your page there. And one thing that I hadn't necessarily worked into this that I do want to, and I apologize to my co-host here for derailing from the agenda a bit, but I'm sure some folks watching this are wondering, why are so many of these properties selling for 70% off, 75% off? And one thing I want to emphasize is, depending on when they bought it, they may still be selling this at like a 400% profit.
Right.
Really, what's happened is some people got in so early. There's now, there's folks seeing 10,000% increases on their initial investment. So, they're selling at a huge profit, but to us, it appears that it's like a fire sale.
Or even someone like me that flips a lot. I'll buy something at a 65% discount, and then I will market in the marketplace for a 60% discount. So I'm making 5% on it, but it's still massively discounted. So I'm making a profit, but it doesn't look like it to the average buyer because they see that 60% discount. So a lot of what those discounts are, they're marketplace driven, basically supply and demand in that area, and they will vary wildly. Like China, for example, you won't see a discount at all. Other countries will have massive discounts. Like I'm trying to think. United States Class 3 is super discounted.
Yeah, you can see stuff for up to 90% off. And before I derailed us with that comment about why you see these huge discounts, I think where Hazy wanted me to go and where I'll go next is sort of some of these other ways that you can actually use the filters, because I do use tile value low. And you find the nation that you want to look at. But one thing that we're still learning about and don't have a full grasp on is, what does our class 1 represent, and what are the benefits of class 1 compared to some of these other tile classes?
So the default setting for filter is any. So it's going to show all. What you want to do, and this is what I recommend doing, is choosing class 1. So we're in Chile. We're going to look at class 1, and you'll see the cheapest one there is 51.7%
Sorry,
off.
I went to US. Going back to Chile right now.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So you'll see the cheapest one there is a 51.7% discount.
There we go.
And that's class 1. Now, if you filter by tile class 2, you'll see it's 71.89. So you'll see there's a 20% difference. Why is there that difference, Kenny?
So basically, at this stage, we know that class 1 carries some additional benefits. We know that it's a bit better in various ways. Also, class 1 means that it was one of the first 100,000 tiles purchased in that nation, and often, not always, but often means it was in a higher value area than some of the later tiles purchased. So class 1 is more coveted. It's easier to resell. It's frankly just, there's a lower supply of class 1 than these other classes.
Scarcity.
Exactly. Yeah. And you've also got, and we've been told that there are additional, advertising benefits potentially, and I believe at least it used to say additional resources in essence. I could be misremembering, but we don't know how much, so it's really hard to evaluate.
But the main thing is there's less of them than any other type.
Yes, supply is really the driving factor.
Right.
So I mean, when you're looking at these, that's just one thing that you want to be very aware of, is the discrepancy between those different classes within the nation, because really each nation and class combination sort of represents its own microeconomy.
Right. So how many class 2 tiles are there?
In each nation, there are 200,000 class 2 tiles. So
and how many class 3?
300,000.
Right. And our boy Meta proved this earlier today. There is 400,000 class 4. So by the time you get to 1 million tiles sold, you will be class 5, and you will also be paying $2,300 per tile. So I don't foresee us getting many countries to class 5.
No. I think there's only like 1 or 2 countries that are class 4 right now. If you buy new tiles,
USA.
I'm sorry.
And USA is class 4. Maybe international.
Maybe international. Yep.
I don't know. International has always been kind of buggy, so it's hard to know with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll notice this as you go through different nations, you'll see larger discrepancies between the class 1s and class 2s in some nations versus others. And another thing you'll notice if you're sorting it by that tile value low, that default setting, in some nations the only class 1 under market value is extraordinarily expensive, right? Like if your China class 1 under market value is probably going to be $1,000 for the plot in most cases, if not more.
So here's a good example. Go to Anguilla.
Anguilla.
And look at class 1 there. You'll see that the cheapest class 1 there is a 27.7% markup.
And it's only $104, but yes, it is still
right. It's still cheap. So basically, the cheaper countries that have a low base cost, their class 1 tiles are going to sell at a bigger premium than a country like that is selling for $2 or $3 a tile. You're going to get your biggest discounts on the more expensive countries. The ones that have a really base price, like Anguilla, are going to sell at a premium. So you'll see 27.7 now. But if you jump over to class 2, it's a 36% discount for the cheapest class 2. So that's a 60% difference. So that, looking at those small countries, Kangi and I have discussed this before, it almost makes more sense to get a class 2 property there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing you should absolutely be considering within any nation, because I think for most new users, they're going to be looking at their own country is going to be one of the first things they look at. So just be very aware of that discrepancy between your class 1 and your other classes compared to some of the other, nations that you might be looking at. Because for me, like for instance, Germany right now, because class 1 is so cost prohibitive and class 2 is often so marked down, I will only buy class 2 there as it stands. But then in other cases, like a nation like Ireland, the difference between class 1 and class 2 is not nearly as great. Or Mexico. Hazy and I were discussing this recently.
Oh, the class 1 is so cheap there.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a whole bunch of marketplace factors and reasons that are probably way beyond what we could even evaluate with what we know. But yeah, just a big thing to keep in mind.
So the thing we want to look at when we're buying land on the marketplace is, what are your motives? Are you planning on holding the property, or are you planning on flipping the property? Okay. If you're going to hold the property, what kind of properties are you going to hold? So Snoke, when you're buying, are you looking to hold, flip, a combination of both? If you're holding, what kind of properties are you holding? If you're flipping, what kind of properties are you flipping?
Yeah, I mean, class 1 properties I definitely hold. I always try to hold class 1. Anytime I get them, I hold them. If I either buy them or win them in giveaways or anything, I try to hold class 1 just because I know that they're valuable. And coming into the future phases, I want to make sure I have enough class 1s for whatever that valuable reason is. I want to make sure I have them. Class 2 and beyond, yeah, there are some properties I hold that might have a meaning to me in some way or somehow. But
like most the plot in the middle of the lake.
Yes, like the plot in the middle of the lake. Although that's a class 4, class 4 USA tile. Yeah. Yep. But for example, that one I went there in real life and was able to visit it, and it's pretty cool. But that one I won't sell. But there are many other tiles that are just land, and I'll try to flip them and go through the marketplace, see what they're selling for. Then I try to get mine. Usually, like, I'll look at the marketplace and see what their average, like the top 10 listings are under tile value low, and then I'll go like find my percent right there, and that's what I'll sell my land at.
So what kind of properties do you hold, King, and what are you flipping?
So similarly, I hold a lot of my class 1 tiles. There are instances where I might not, that we don't have to get into here, but certainly that's a driving factor. Scarcity of land available. So micronations. We've had guests on the show before, like Hydra, who has talked about the value of, say, Holy See titles. We just saw Walker buy a lot, or excuse me, we saw.
Easter.
My lights
yeah, Easter love, yeah.
There were too many massive purchases in 1 week for me to keep track of. But but those smaller nations, Gibraltar,
Monaco,
exactly. So like for example, I've been stockpiling a lot of Bermuda just because it's small. Private islands, so any properties that are an entire private island, I have a few of those that are holders, and that's a commonly sought thing in the community. And then I like my one-of-a-kind properties. So whether it's a landmark or a major, like something that's really, really close to a city center, that just sort of provides unique characteristics, whether it's a unique amount of foot traffic or, you know, the area itself because it's like a monument. So those for me are some of my holders. And how about you, Hazy? Like, what are the things that you really are keeping?
Really, there's only 3 types of property I hold right now: Caesar's Palace, Monaco, and the Wild West. And if someone paid enough, I'd sell those too.
Yeah.
But those are drastically marked up. Like I bought Caesar's Palace for $6,000.
So if you were to sell it, what would you sell it as? Caesar's Palace.
$15,000.
All right, write it down, folks. He's named his price.
Yeah, that's what it's listed as buy now right now. And if someone bid $14,000, I'd be like, no. 15 or nothing.
$14.99.
All right, I might take that one.
All right.
But 14, no. Maybe I might work down 14,750 might be my lowest, but I'm not moving much from 15 because I think that property is going to be worth 50.
Oh yeah, easily.
So, I think that this, you know, asking that question about, you know, what it would take to sell, and the fact that Hazy, you're the most, I think, active on the marketplace of the 3 of us, this transitions well into, if you're planning to flip, you know, what are some of the characteristics that you're looking for in a property? If you're going out there strictly to make, you know, $5 or $10, what are you looking for?
2 key types: cheap class 1, very cheap class 2. Location really doesn't matter. I've learned that. If it's cheap, if it's 60% discounted class 1, it's going to sell. It doesn't matter where it's at, what it's doing. If it's 70, 80% discounted class 2, doesn't matter where it's at. Now, you're more likely to sell it quickly if it's in a good location, but you're also not going to see those discounts at that value if it's in a good location. So that's the other thing you'll look at is, it doesn't necessarily have to be discounted 50, 60%. If it's discounted 30%, but the other properties in that general vicinity are discounted for 10%, then that's a good buy because you're 20% above what everyone else is selling for. So the things I always like to do is compare what other people are selling in that area. It doesn't have to be in that country. It's that area. So for example, in Thailand, Bangkok is not discounted nearly as much as the rest of Thailand. So something that's kind of 20% in Bangkok is a buy as opposed to, but the top of the marketplace, if you look at Thailand, it's 40% discount. So you'd look at that, oh, I'm not going to be able to sell that, but you will, because it's nothing else in Bangkok is listed at 20% discount. So look at not only the country, but the regions. So that's very important. Proper shape does come into play, but not, that comes more in play when you're like at market value, when you're not discounted. So when you're selling something for a premium, so to speak. So that matters then. Foot traffic, so mega cities, city centers, those matter. But for me, it's price is everything. It's not going to sell if it's too expensive or if you're impatient.
Exactly. And I think that, you know, I think that transitions well into the next topic we've talked about. How do you buy land? You know, how do you get money in? How do you buy land? What do you hold? What do you flip? So let's talk about the flipping part. How do you actually set your price? So Snoke, we actually haven't spoke a whole lot about, you know, the way that you go about, you know, some of your marketplace tactics. How do you, you know, set the price if you're trying to sell a piece of land? What are some of the factors you consider in determining, you know, what you're going to list it at?
Well, so I actually recently just started selling land again within the last like couple weeks, because after the beginning of Earth2, when I was in here, I was selling at $5 a tile U.S. land. That still drives me crazy. And I mean, I was selling it at market value, so I wasn't even discounting it then. I was selling it for $5 a tile when it was $5 a tile. But and after I sold all that land and I purchased more land, I was like, man, this is just going to keep going up. Like, I don't see a ceiling. So that's when I just decided, like, all right, I'm just going to hold everything I got. And then I kind of, after just kept on buying, I'm like, okay, well, there's a faster way instead of me waiting to keep depositing money. Let me just flip these and start flipping. And so basically what I try to do is I'll look in that area and like Hasty said earlier, see what everyone else is selling the land around me for, and I'll probably maybe go about that, or maybe if I'm looking for a quick sale that I can still make a profit on, I'll go 5% less than what they're selling it for as well.
So
Yeah.
I'll look at regions, but I also am a big looker at the marketplace. For the type of, so if it's class 1, I'll look at the marketplace and I'll see what the top discount is, and I'll look at the properties too to see if they are some disjointed shape. If it's a regular plot and it's 50% off and I want to sell quick, then I know I'm gonna have to list it for more than 50% off. If I can be patient, then I can list it for maybe 45% off. Yep. But if you list it at 30% off, it's not going to sell because people aren't going to see it. They're going to see the ones on the top of that screen. So for me, it's a lot of how I list something is, well, there's 2 reasons. I look at the marketplace and I just basically, if I can make 10% profit on what I paid for it, then I'm happy. Right. So if I bought something for $100, I'll list it for 110, and if someone buys it, okay. And they might have got a great deal on it, but I made 10%, so no problem. So what's your strategy, Kingy?
Well, it depends. It does depend on what I'm trying to flip. If I had bought something strictly to flip it, I'm usually only trying to make $5 or $10 off of it. And usually these are things I bought that are, I try to only buy like rectangular plots that are all one plot, but they're usually nondescript beyond that. It's like, oh, this is just, 50 tiles of Riga, Latvia. So in those cases, I basically will just go right to the page for, class 2 and price it to land, either basically somewhere in the top 3. And I'll just price it that way. And if pricing it that way would make me lose money, I'm certainly not selling it. That means I got to hold longer because I'm never selling at a loss.
So let's talk about premium property. How do we mark that? That's a difficult question.
That is tough. I mean, there's really only one price in the world, which is the price somebody's willing to pay for it, right?
Yeah. So do I think I could sell Caesars for 10 grand pretty quickly? Probably. But you have to try to estimate what a property like that is going to be worth if you're holding it, but you want to see if you can get a massive return on it, then of course you're going to take that massive return. So figuring out what that massive return that would make you happy, you need to figure out, okay, in 2 years, if Earth2 is doing this, how much will this property be worth? Right. So, for example, we can talk about good examples of that with Walker buying Forbidden City and Red Square in Moscow. He paid $25,000 a piece for them. At the time, that probably doesn't look like a good buy, but in 3 years, 5 years, those could be $100,000 properties. Yep. The Vatican, $50,000 for one plot. I actually think it's a good buy right now compared to the rest of the properties in the Vatican. The per tile price was cheap, so that was a consideration. But that property could be worth $500,000 if things go right. It's also a risk, though. If things go wrong, that value is going to plummet. So you need to weigh your belief in the game and how much you need the money. If you don't need the money, it's probably best to set it at a price that would make you happy if it actually sold.
Agreed. And to bring up a point like that too, earlier, I would say this was probably still December timeframe, but I bought one of the biggest tower in China or not China, Japan and Tokyo, and I had that tower. I wasn't even selling it, and tile value came up to I think it was about $3 at the time. Someone actually went on there and placed a bid on the land, and they placed a bid for $800 when it was only valued at, I think, like $250. So I went ahead and sold it then, but it was something that, as you said, whatever their price is that they're willing to pay for it, that's what you're going to get for it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, I recently had somebody bidding on a landmark that I had in Italy. And Italy's an interesting nation because this wasn't class 1, and a lot of the class 2 and 3 in Italy, you have to sell at 80+% off.
Heck, so class 1 you do.
Yeah, it can be tough to move right now because a lot of people bought early and they're now competing with each other to get those returns. And so I got a bid. It wasn't listed. And we ended up negotiating to a sales point that was about 50% off of market value because it was a special property. It is a large monument, but then there's also, the fact that random tiles of that nature are selling for 80% off, not 50% off. So it's really hard to judge some of these things, and it's very case by case. But yeah, it's
right.
interesting.
And the other thing you can do if you're not sure, ask someone.
Yeah,
jump into the My Name is Human Discord and ask one of us. We're happy to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've talked about, okay, here's some of the things we're looking at when we're trying to decide price and what we want to sell. How do we actually list a property for sale? So there are actually two ways that you can go about it. The first way involves going to the profile page. I think this is the way that most people know about. Wouldn't you argue that's probably true?
Yeah, I'd say 95% of people sell property this way.
Right. And from this page, it's easy there's an edit/sell button. And so it's kind of an all-in-one, and it allows you to change the description. You can alter the price that you would.
That's actually a good point. Description. What do we put there?
I mean, for me, this varies a lot. If I'm trying to sell something and I know people might look at other things in my profile, I'll actually list the class. So that's one thing people do.
I always list class.
Yeah. So, and you'll want to list that accurately. Don't try to scam people and say something's class 2 when it's 3, because they can see that. And then I like to list like the city, or if it is an actual landmark or something, you can name it the landmark. Is that what's your approach, AZ?
So I'm pretty simple. Country, class, characteristic of the property. So if it is a monument, I will say monument. If it is MegaCity, I'll say MegaCity. If it's a random plot in the middle of nowhere, I'll say random rural plot. Just a brief description of what. I'm not going to put 1,000 characters in there like some of these guys do. Here's one I see right here: center foot traffic, George Hill, Blowing Point, Anguilla, discount code. I'm not putting all that crap in my.
A lot of info.
You can't even use your discount code when you're buying property from someone on the marketplace. So why bother putting that in the property description?
It's funny. When I place properties for sale, I never even change the description. I just click on edit and then set my price and sell.
I definitely think it matters. I think labeling. So for me, country, class, and brief description, I think that matters a little bit.
I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah, it's a real simple change, and you can just do it when you list you click that edit sell button before you list it on the marketplace. You edit the description, you put the value you want to sell it for, and then you click the advertise in marketplace button, and then you click save. Easy peasy.
Yeah. And one question, since we're on the topic of listing something, let's say you list something and you get cold feet later, you want to pull it off the marketplace, or you listed something you didn't even mean to. If you go back, click that edit sell button and just uncheck the advertise on marketplace and save, that will pull it from being listed at all. The fact that it says advertise on marketplace throws some folks off.
But if you list something for 10 cents when you meant to list it for $10, you're probably going to lose that property because you have a 10-minute restriction before you can change it.
Yep.
Yeah. There is a cooldown that was imposed because of some dubious folks back in the day that kept trying to flip their prices to take advantage of the timing.
So before you hit save, make sure, and it will have a confirmation. Are you sure you want to sell this for 99% less than what you paid for it?
Yeah.
A lot of people get in the habit of just clicking buttons. Look at that confirmation screen. Make sure it's the right number.
It even says about the 5% improvement free that they're going to take. And it does say you're going to sell this whole property for however much you're going to sell it. And it'll tell you how much you purchased it for in parentheses as well.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to mention too, is the 5% improvement fee. That's something that Earth2 takes when users sell land to another user. So and they only take it on the profit. So if I bought something for $100 and I sold it to Kingy for $200, I made $100 profit. They're going to take $5 of that for land improvement, whatever that is.
Yep.
Shane's Porsche fund.
Yeah. Right. that's one way. That's probably the most, conventional way to go about listing a property. But there is actually a second option for listing properties, which is to go through the insights page.
Right, and you get to that from the drop down where your profile name is on the top right hand side.
Right, and it's so right below where it says profile, it says insights.
Right.
And this is an interesting page because from here you can see on the far right it allows you to click sell, and it's a slightly different sell screen, and you can actually
right, you can't edit the description of the property there. You can only set per tile price or total price, and it'll show you the profit or loss you will get for selling at that price. It'll show you how much of a percentage profit or loss it is. So I like that because it's basing it on the price you actually paid for it. On the profile page screen, you actually have to go into the property and view it to see how much you paid for it, because it's not going to show that on the profile screen. What it shows on the profile screen is the market value.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get a little bit more, I think, easy, simple information up front. You can also, if you want to, you can even set the price to be, what's my per tile dollar amount I want to set the price for. I will say I do not recommend that because it makes it easier to mess up the amount you are actually trying to sell something for. But it is an option. I was mentioning that I'll look at, per tile amounts in the marketplace. So you could go, all right, the lowest is $2.02. I'll set my price to $2.01.
And that's the time I would use that, is when I'm trying to beat the lowest price in the marketplace.
Exactly. And another thing, since we're on this page, that can be useful too is on the insights page, the headers, the ones that say land value, purchased on, bought for, those are all actually sortable. So you can click on those and sort your current properties using the insights page. So definitely take a look at it. A lot of people,
I don't think many people know about that, which is why I wanted to bring it up.
Right.
All right, so we bought land, we sold land, we understand the game a little bit, but it's important to stay informed. So what are some ways, Snoke, that we can stay informed about what's going on in Earth2?
So, the first thing is the official Discord for My Name is Human. We'll have a link in the show notes for that. But also the official Earth2 Discord. You can stay informed in that way as well. Following Shane on Twitter. I know sometimes he'll put cryptic tweets out. But any of the main Earth2 social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, Discord. And then also, directly from the devs in the Discord, they'll be able to chat in there, and you'll actually, sometimes you might be able to get a question answered from the devs directly in the Earth.
And mynameshumanpod.com will recap all those Discords, and we have an archive of all of them. So I recommend going to the Learn E2, and there's a button, developer discussions, and you can view every single developer discussion that's happened since the game started on Discord. One thing I do want to say about the Discord, and this is something Kangi can touch on, is there is some toxicity and trolls, and they can kind of get under your skin sometimes. And so you need to learn to take it in with bated breath sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely somebody that's quick to rile, so I have to remind myself to take a step back from the Discord at times, especially because I think folks are just, it's still a pandemic and folks get bored, especially since we're talking about a game that doesn't quite exist yet, and it's in the conventional sense that we mean that. So there can be times where the Discord's got some folks that are trying to rile you up, but for the most part, I do think that the community's got really good people.
Right, and there's some great private I spend most of my time in private Discords.
Right.
The My Name is Human channel, the Kangi's Friends channel. Those are the channels that I enjoy the most, where we have gift dialogues, where we don't actually say any words, we just talk in gifts.
Right. Exactly. And like the other content creators that we plugged earlier in the show, like Meta, like Walker, like Guidebook Gaming, and forget Combo. Forget Combo. These are other examples of people that are great folks in the community, and they will keep you informed as well. So we mentioned earlier that Combo does, weekly recaps.
He also does amazing graphic design work. Thanks for our logo.
Yeah, and Walker and Meta are also, good
Extremely
people to
talented.
follow to keep up with the news. So yeah, and then my name is humanpod.com, of course. Keep up with news.
articles, resources, and we're doing podcasts like this that we're trying to help people learn about the game. And like, if things like once phase 2 comes out, I imagine we'll do another one of these 2 or 3 months after phase 2 comes out, talking about more strategic things that we have learned. But right now we don't really know how phase 2 is going to work, so we can only talk about phase 1 stuff.
Right.
So this is our introduction to starting. Once you can actually play the game, we'll talk about our introduction to playing. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll be following Shane and the team the whole way.
Yeah.
Just a step or two behind him.
And as long as Discord doesn't piss Kenny off too much, he'll be here with us.
Yeah, I should be here. You just got to give me a few minutes.
But Kenny, maybe you should invite them to the Wild West where you can just gun them down.
See, this is interesting because I've been plugging it very informally as either Hazy's MegaCity or Armenia Vegas or whatever I call it. But no, we've got a real name. So tell us a little bit about the new city. Let's call it a new city.
I mean, we've obviously been pumping the MegaCity in Armenia for a while, but like I never had any concept for it and any vision for it. And I look at other I put my 69 down in every MegaCity I find. But it's more because I have a hotel chain planned for those. Like I actually have a business plan planned for those. Like it's not just me being a pervert. It's actually a concept I have in mind. But looking at these megacities, they all have structure. They all have guilds associated to them. They all have, just plans and themes in place. I don't fucking want all that.
Beep.
I don't want all that. I just want a place where people can do whatever they want. If they want to build a motorcycle shop, they can build a motorcycle shop. If they want to build a strip club, they can build a strip club. If they want to build a poker room, they can build a poker room. If they want to build a hamburger, build what you want. I don't care. Put it where you want. I don't care. If it's in the middle of the water and you want to build it there, if there's tiles to be taken, have at it. Heck, you can bid on my stuff. I'll probably be like, yeah, sure. I don't care. I just want people to have a place where they can go have fun and do anything they want. And I mean, I've talked about no PvP for me, and I don't want PvP, but you're in the Wild West, so I guess we have to have a PvP area. So I made a little area to the left of the Wild West sign that says PvP and has an arrow pointing that way. So if you want a PvP, go over there. Just don't shoot my shit.
Well, I do like that. We've talked about this before. The megacities, you can have hyper structure, hyper themed, very focused, or you can go, for lack of a better term, we're doing the slum city. We're we're piling in.
and I hope when we get into phase 2 and are actually building stuff, people are going to build cool stuff there. It'll be a mismatch. I mean, we'll have an art gallery here, and we'll have a biker bar right across the street.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, to me, part of the appeal of Earth2 is just the way people can dream. And I want to see everyone's dreams. I want to see everyone's visions. I don't want, okay, you can only build this here. I want to see what people want to do. And to me, that's the fascinating and intriguing part about Earth2 and what excites me about it. So that's what I want there. I want the Wild West to just be a fun place where people can do whatever the hell they want to do. So we'll link it in the show notes, but come join us. It is a way to enter the giveaway. Oh, giveaway. So we have a massive giveaway that I am digging out of my own pocket and just throwing money away. I just like giving money away because I don't like money. I'm a former professional gambler, so for me, just throwing $1,000 away is nothing. So we have an article lists all the many ways you can win. One of them will be to comment on this YouTube video. So comment and enter to win. There's ways to get 2 or 3 entries for doing something, like following us on TikTok, following our Instagram, joining our Facebook page. There's like 15, 16 ways, and I'm going to add more as we start adding things. Like we are Oh, by the way, I totally missed the lead. We are on a new website. This is the first podcast with that new website.
Yeah, that's okay.
I totally missed that lead. My name is humanpod.com, has replaced Earth2 News. New design, looks amazing. We have everything I've wanted in a website. Sleek design. You got your articles, you got your YouTube videos, you got your podcast, you got Learn-E2, which is going to be where this video is going to go eventually. We're going to put strategy articles there. That's where the developer discussions are at. We have resources where some of the best sites out there, like Earth2 Market, .xyz, MegaCity maps. That's located on the resource. That's located on the resources. So if you are a resource and you want to be listed on there, just shoot me a note. I'll look it over. As long as it's not scammy, I'll put it on there. We're here to help the community. And we have the About Us, how you can support us, how you can advertise like the Kraken did, and little bios on myself and Kangi and Snoke and Oliver Jones. And we have some new writers joining in. So we have some writer bios in there. And they're going to, people want to come work for us. And we want you to come work for us too. If you're a good writer or content creator, let us know. We might even pay you a little tiny bit. For now.
Don't tell the fake news, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, fake news, we're not paying you nothing.
Sorry.
That's okay. So we do have a giveaway. I forgot about the whole website thing, but we do have a giveaway celebrating the launch of this website. And like I said, there's 15 things, and we're adding more things as we go. We've added TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think that's it for now, but we'll probably figure out a few more ways. The YouTube's been blowing up. Already over 100 subscribers. Thank you, Meta.
Yeah, thank
you. Speaking of Meta, he is going to be our guest on Thursday. So definitely tune into that show. So I think that's pretty much it for this show. We've definitely run long, not quite as long as I thought I had. So we did go through pretty good. Anything you want to add, Snoke?
I'm good. I'm excited for the new website. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, so make sure you follow the website. Make sure you follow all the social media pages because there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming out. So
yes, like, follow, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. And Kangi, how about you? What did you got? Are you in a better mood now?
Oh, I'm in a much better mood. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to see, I'm happy to contribute to the community. Hopefully we get to help some new users, and I'm excited to see these new users, in both the general Discord and in our own. So.
All right. Well, do join our Discord. We'd love to talk with you. Ask questions to ask in the future pods. Ask questions to ask Meta. So that's going to be it for this show. The ultimate guide to starting on Earth2.io, brought to you by the Kraken. we didn't plan that, so whatever.
Right.
That was my bad.
You love it, Lloyd. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And until next time, Hazy out.
Snoke out.
Hazy out.
Get up off your knees, girl. Get up. Stand face to face with your God, oh God, and find out what you are. Hello, my name is Human. Hello, my name is Human, and I came down from the stars. Hello, my name is Human.